You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
The snap, the kick, it's been blocked again! Oh my! It's been blocked again! He's going to heave one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyree Cleveland! Oh my! I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw, pops and fires the ball over the middle. It's over! Norrich's got a touchdown! Oh man! Norrich's got a touchdown! Hands it off to Harvin. He comes back. Say goodbye.
Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out a winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium and Gale. It's your boy Corey.
It's Dan.
And Deleterious.
No 2-5. 2-5 will be here.
Waiting on the birthday boy.
You're waiting on the birthday
yeah.
one. Yep. He'll be here in probably 20, 25 minutes or so. How's everybody's
no
Super
call.
Bowl weekend?
We could get him PTO today too, guys.
We can. I mean, I'd be more than happy to give him PTO. We didn't ask for it. He was the first one to say he'd be here. So
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Got to file it to HR.
For sure. How's your weekend?
it was good, man. I went over to Orlando to go see my favorite country music band, Shane Smith and the Saints, with my boy Paul. You guys all know Paul. And our old ladies were there. A couple other. It was a blast, man. Always fun seeing them. If you haven't heard Shane Smith and the Saints, and if you like country music that's from Texas, a little rock and rolly, a little less twangy than maybe some stuff on the radio, go check them out. But hope one day they'll come to Tampa. But so far, I've had to travel every time I went to see them. But that was always fun. And then yesterday, just kind of a low key day. Was hoping for an exciting Super Bowl. Got the smoker all ready to go. We cooked some chicken on that, and it just for a dud of a game.
What a stinker.
I know. I could have just ordered takeout. We could put some food in the microwave to enjoy that game.
Old fashioned stinker. Felt like the Egg Bowl. Definitely didn't feel super.
It was as a lifelong New England Patriots hater.
Yeah.
Great game. Loved it. Loved the action. Loved the way it unfolded.
What's your beef with the Patriots?
Just 2 decades of Tom Brady beating the Dolphins.
Yeah. Dude.
Oh, man, you should hate most quarterbacks then because
yeah. I mean,
you're a Dolphins fan.
Dude, it's tough, man, being a Dolphins fan. It really is the Dickens.
Hey, look at me laughing at you as a Jag fan, right?
I mean, you guys made the playoffs. You guys won playoff games. You guys beat the crap out of us. The last time we ever won a playoff game was to then play you. I forgot what the score was. It was like 315-4. And we haven't won a playoff game since then.
25 years.
Yeah.
It's the Jacksonville curse.
Yeah, Fred went crazy.
Haven't won a playoff game in 25 years. Anyway, loved watching those people up there in the north lose. I think it's their 12th trip, like a record trip. Loved to catch an L. Enjoyed watching that.
What a great franchise, though. Like
incredible.
Head coach changes. One of the greatest head coaches of NFL. He changed. One of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, if not the greatest quarterback of all time. He leaves, and they're still back in this thing. Like the Crabs.
We have the Dolphins have the entire Tom Brady life cycle except for his 2 years in Tampa. New England sucked for a few years, and then they went to the Super Bowl all since the Dolphins won a playoff game. A singular playoff.
Crazy.
It's nuts.
The year that Tom Brady tore his ACL on like the third drive of the first game of the season, the Dolphins tied the Patriots to win the division. Didn't even outright win it. Just a pretty pitiful franchise, state of affairs. Our owner cares more about his.
Hey man, we're not getting into these Dolphin woes right now, brother.
Anyway,
get off your Dolphin soapbox, man.
I was just trying to talk. I was just trying to celebrate the Patriots losing. You drugged Dan and I.
You drugged the show down with the Dolphins drama, man.
Yeah. The less we talk about the Dolphins, the better.
Sure. Didn't really watch the commercial. Didn't watch the halftime show. The game was a stinker, but happy that they lost. Hold on, we have a guest.
Yeah, I thought the commercials. There she is, little Frankie.
What's up, Frankie?
Bedtime for Frankie.
We might have to give you Jordan stipend today, Frankie.
That's right. Yeah, we'll do that. Nick, be on the lookout. Let me know what her Venmo account is. No, I didn't. The whole week didn't feel super, and the game didn't feel super.
The build up, like the 2-week little ramp up, didn't feel super. Like nothing felt super about it, man.
Yeah, it was a weird week. I don't know if it's like a little football fatigue. I'll be honest with you, just like college football going so late and you're watching all those games. Like before, it was the college football season was kind of done at the beginning of the year. And then you were just watching playoffs, but you're just kind of that's what you're watching. Then you get there, and this is like the culmination. It's like we just had a culmination of another football season like 2 weeks ago. I don't know, but it did.
That's a lot.
Maybe it's because there's no like huge like franchise name. Sam Darnold had kind of his story of redemption, his redemption arc. Drake May is. We
used to watch Gladiators duke it out, man. Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. Like it used to be. We used to watch some real legends throw the football. Quarterback development and play is down in the league.
You think that has anything to do with college and then the constant changing of coaches there and then the constant changing of coaches and schemes in the NFL? This is my stance on the NFL is that quarterbacks eating up so much of the roster cap space for these big teams has deleteriously affected a lot of rosters.
Oh, what a word. What a word. What a word.
Bro.
God. He that way. He had it in his back pocket.
On stage with Tiesto. Now he's doing sourdough green eggs.
What a word.
Deletiesto. SAT vocab word of the week.
What book you get that in, man?
Yeah. So Dan's like, no big deal. Yeah. Deleteriously affect. And what I mean by that is like you're stuck with a huge quarterback roster that takes up the equivalent of 2 or 3 really good guys. And then you have a couple of really good, maybe it's a wide receiver, linebacker, cornerback, defensive tackle, whatever. And then you have a lot of players on rookie deals and then a lot of players on vet minimum. So there's a lot of players that might make $5, $6, $7, $8 million a year that maybe don't have those same roster spot opportunities because these teams have to be so focused on paying a quarterback $55, $60 million a year. That's why you either win with a quarterback on their rookie deal or a quarterback making a ton of money.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and then there's two. I always say there's 2 types of teams in the NFL. One's with a franchise quarterback, and one's looking for one. Mm-hmm. So the teams looking for one are typically drafting top 5. Mm-hmm. And every single year, that top 1, 2, 3, 4, that guaranteed money keeps going through the roof. So you're only getting more into Dan's derelicting space. I don't know what word he said. Just trying to say
dereliction and deleterious are 2 different words.
Same thing. But yeah, it
close. Close.
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't know what I did feel the lack of buzz that you guys were talking about. That maybe that's Seattle and New England. I did have a friend who's a Patriots fan be like, man, it's been tough the last 6 years. I'm like, shut up, 6 years.
Well, y'all rank Kraft that like owner wise? Who's the GOAT owner?
He's got to be up there.
Yeah, he's got to be up there.
I mean, I feel like if you know his name and it's not for, I mean, obviously he had his one situation with the massage parlor.
Yeah, he's dying.
But outside of that, it's been,
he ain't check in with me.
Right. There's been a couple of controversies, obviously. You had the Deflategate stuff, and there's there seems to be a bit of a spite to him or why he didn't get in as a first ballot Hall of Famer. But I mean, how many owners can you name in the NFL? You have him. You can name Jerry Jones. You know Shad Khan because you're a Jacksonville fan, right?
Rooney because Rooney's
Rooney because he's been in the family forever. We know Stephen Ross. And then maybe you know a few other owners, but for the most part, a lot of them just kind of keep a low profile. You don't really hear unless they've had this built on success for the last 30 years.
Right.
The Maras, I know the Maras. That's New York Giants.
Yeah, they now on the list. I don't know why you brought them
fans are the owners of the Packers.
The fans, yep.
I gotta get that stadium's on my bucket list. The fact that it's in like a regular neighborhood is crazy to me. A city that small having a team is crazy to me.
I think they've changed it some. You remember Cassidy Hill? She covered them for a little while. They made like a shopping center, hotel, condo area around Green Bay.
Oh, okay.
If you want to go to a park that is just legitimately in the middle of a neighborhood. Summer Chicago, go to Wrigley. It is just in a neighborhood.
2 years ago. Yeah.
But at least they have like Wrigleyville and they have some other stuff, and it's in a very dense city, right? Green Bay is not like Green Bay is in Milwaukee on the top of it, right? It's a few hours away from Milwaukee. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to go to a game there. I had a friend of mine that goes to an away Dolphins game every year, and they went when it was, I think, very cold or snowing. I'll tell you this. After watching 2 outdoor hockey games in the 20s, just go and don't try to brave the elements.
I'd never
on TV.
I'd never.
And then when people in the stands are like, I'm not going to wear my shirt. I'll show you how. I don't care how tough you are. Put a jacket on.
Yeah.
You're watching football in Minnesota. You're watching football in Green Bay, Wisconsin in December. Not enough hand warmers in circulation for me to watch it sitting there.
A lot of whiskey blankets. Spence from Camden Yards. Camden Yards is a goated stadium in baseball for sure. Cool place. Corey, what'd you get into this weekend?
Just vibes, man. What did I get? Super Bowl. I hung out. What did I do this weekend?
You weren't on your phone. I know that.
Huh?
You were not on your phone.
I wasn't. I'm trying to think what I did Saturday. It was all a blur. Oh, so just working out, exercise with my son, out to the park. My dad's out, went to Atlanta to visit my brother for the Super Bowl. My mom's just been ringing my phone about every little thing, man, helping her clean her garage, shed, all type of shenanigans. So, bro, that's what I did. You know, sometimes you start working around the house and doing things, and then you look up the whole day's going. But you know, so that was the vibe. Just got productive. Super Bowl was good times though. I enjoyed social media more than I did the game.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we put Frankie to bed before the game, and then like at 11:40, she was just up, like ready to go. Full moon or something on Sunday. It's just ready to go. So we watched some Olympic speeds. We watched some Olympics. Yeah, but just big dad vibes. Last free weekend for me. Baseball starts Friday. Nice. Oh, speaking of Friday, Saturday, Valentine's, all the men listening to the show, this is your heads up. This is your reminder. Valentine's Day, Saturday. The Super Bowl is on.
If you had to be reminded, you just I already know things ain't going smooth, man.
That's fine. That's fine.
Things ain't going smooth. If you needed that reminder, man.
I'm not here as a relationship counselor. I'm just here
That's what they need.
Same.
Your friendly podcaster saying, hey, put the flower order in, chocolates, do what you got to do. Saturday, make sure you do it. But Super Bowl is on Valentine's Day. We're talking about like how late everything
next
is.
Year.
I think
next
year the Super Bowl is on Valentine's Day. I think the national championship for football is like January 28th.
Dude, it's nuts. It's
college playoffs was better than the college national championship was better than the Super Bowl. I just think that college football is just a better product, in my opinion.
I don't disagree. Like I think like the talent level at the NFL is better. Like
For
I
sure.
think that's but like the like the but like the product. But better talent should give you a better product. But I think there's something about the college game that just gives you a better product. Like maybe not every Maction Tuesday, but like the college football playoff was awesome. I want to see more games on stadiums, like on campuses, like first 2 rounds on campus.
Yeah, that would be dope. I think that would take it to another level. But I enjoyed this. I know the first playoff was a lot of blowouts, and people were saying, "Oh, there's too many games." But I think this year it was better, man. You had some good shootouts, and I think even the windy game with Miami, Texas A&M, it was just a defensive just slugfest. But no, I just couldn't get into it. I knew the Super Bowl was going to be weak. You know, I think everybody had that vibe, even before the ball got kicked off, and it lived up to the expectations.
Yeah, but hopefully.
Congrats to Seahawks, though.
Congrats to Seattle. Sam Darnold, cool redemption arc for him. Cool story for him to get out there and win a Super Bowl. First time in 22 years. No Gators were on the active roster.
No. Oh, okay, active, yeah.
Active roster. So,
but Jamarcus Weston, listen, Billy was right.
Billy was right.
Billy Napier said Jamarcus Weston would be on an NFL roster playing special teams. He was. I think he got hurt towards the end of preseason camp with the Jets, and they got picked up by Seattle.
Jets. Yeah, he did also say that he would be drafted in potentially a first rounder. So
he's about to go early. He's about to declare early. That's when I was just, all right, Billy lying.
Well, it wasn't declaring early. I think he was a 6th-year senior. And
no. He said he came back and he could have declared early to go play in the NFL.
He said
that's what we should have known.
That's what we should have drug tested him. Like, bro, something's wrong.
But what I'm saying about that is I think Billy said that after Jamarcus's 5th year. And I'm like, I don't know when early would have been. Early would have been like your first year here. Because I think Jamarcus Weston was here at least 5 years. I thought he was a 6th-year senior.
Yeah, I think so. Well, definitely had that COVID year. But all right, well, we got Eric Fawcett joining us in about 8 minutes. Jordan's going to be joining us here shortly as well. Corey, let's get an ad read, and then we'll get on with the show.
Woo! One time for the great folks at Brunt Insurance and Financial Services. Anything you need insured: cars, boats, motorcycles, RVs, your home, your life. My man Greg can get you the lowest of the lowest. I promise you. I've had my home insurance with Greg for about 5-6 years. Some of the best in the business when it comes to customer service. 954-589-2204. Don't cost you a dime to see if you can save money, or you can visit them at bruntinsurance.com. Greg, my guy.
Greg, what it do, baby?
And then one time for our friends over at the Dicus, Burke, and Lewis Law Group. These guys used to work on behalf of the insurance companies, and now they work to protect you against those pesky insurance companies. So if you have a property insurance claim, pipe damage, water damage, wind, hail, hurricane, sinkhole damage, or any personal injury issues, give them a call. They are located in St. Petersburg, Florida. We'll help you across the entire state of Florida. 855-652-1377. Again, that's a Dicus, Burke, and Lewis Law Group. And that's DicusBurkeLaw.com. Again, 855-652-1377. A good number to jot down as we head into the heavier weather season in the next few months. So again, Dicus, Burke, and Lewis Law Group, 855-652-1377. Before the show,
real quick, that's also true. I remember asking this: how long Jamarcus
Nick,
Weston?
This is an audio program, so you have to read what Spencer said.
I was. I remember asking Dan Mullen the question. So Tez says Dan Mullen also gave Weston a vote of confidence. I think I asked Dan after a national signing day, like, "Oh, who's the surprise one?" He goes, "Jamarcus Weston's going to be a player."
I mean, he's from the muck, so I lied for him as well. So.
I don't think anybody didn't think Jamarcus Weston wasn't a great special teams player. I think we're all just flabbergasted by the idea that he would go early into the draft. And
no, I thought he would be a good receiver at some point. Now he's a linebacker.
Bro, yeah, the edge. They put him in middle linebacker. They put him on the edge. I think he played safety, and they never changed his number. He was 82 through and through. 82 playing safety.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like,
Since we started the program, Alabama basketball player Charles Bediako is no longer eligible to play college basketball.
what happened?
They canceled the temporary relief order.
Did he play some games?
He played 5.
Yes. Yep.
What is going on, bro? Who's in
Alabama
charge?
went. So
Nobody. That's the fun part, Corey, is nobody's in charge.
I believe Grok was in charge. I believe it was Grok.
I can see that.
A judge in Tuscaloosa fired a temporary restraining order, which allowed Charles Bediako to play.
I heard.
It then became, Eric will probably know this as well. It then became public knowledge that judge was a booster for Alabama. I believe.
Well, let's get Eric. Get Eric on, because this might be a better conversation, because I think we all would agree that Eric knows more basketball today than we know in our whole life combined about what's going on. So with that, we welcome one of the hosts and the most frequent member of the Stadium and Gale crew, our friend from the Great White North, Eric Fawcett. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I mean, I appreciate the compliments about my basketball knowledge, but it sounds like I might have walked into a little legal stuff, which unfortunately has permeated our game in a way that I don't think any of us really necessarily got into to be a regular discussion point. But man, that's how it's turned into that. And I feel like this is maybe just the tip of the iceberg, though. The NCAA does win one here in court for once, which is a rare thing to say. But I mean, you keep challenging more and more outrageous things. Eventually, the NCAA will get one. So this is chalk one up to the people in the NCAA, because
they
I don't know if there's
like
anyone.
Texas A&M from the field to start 1 for 27, but they got one, and I think it's an important one. We talked about it last week. At some point, with all of the shenanigans going on, you have to create some sort of case law order in terms of what you're doing. So it seems like we've drawn at least a line in the sand. And now there's an appeals process and everything else, but we'll see. But anyway, Eric, we're not here to talk about Alabama basketball. We're here to talk about the Gators. A huge win over Texas A&M in what was at one point about 13 minutes into the game, and the score was 13-3. Both teams really struggling to make points here at the beginning, but Gators end up winning a big one over the team that they were tied for the lead in the SEC with, and now have sole possession of that. But Eric, give us kind of the overview of that game, and then we'll dive into kind of the season and what to expect from here on out.
Yeah, first of all, man, there's so much here. I think that you start with just looking at the SEC picture on the whole. And of course, the SEC was last year, I think the strongest conference ever. Most people, reasonable people, agree with that. And of course, going into this year, people expected that to be the case once again. They thought the SEC was going to be, once again, the best conference in college basketball. And I don't think that's been the case. I don't even think they've been the second best conference. I actually think the SEC is the third. And one of the ways that that's kind of been flipped up on its head is the teams like Tennessee and Kentucky and Alabama that were supposed to be at the top are not. And the teams like Vanderbilt and Texas A&M have been, and alongside Florida, of course. So, of course, Florida had a really big game when they went into Vanderbilt and won that one at the time. And then they go and play Texas A&M a couple weeks later. And this was one that, going into the year, you did not think this was going to be one of the biggest games on Florida's schedule. And now suddenly it is. And something that really has made high major basketball in the whole, and particularly the SEC, kind of wacky with this conference, with these teams being added to the bigger conferences. Man, do these unbalanced schedules play a huge role in who wins, especially the regular season. And going into the year, I did point out that I thought the Gators, after many years of really getting screwed, I thought, by the SEC when it came to scheduling, the Gators could not have got an easier schedule this year. They were just gifted the easiest possible schedule. And even when Florida dropped some games that they shouldn't in non-conference play, I still was like, hey, they might not be as good as we think they are, and they still might win the SEC because they have such an easy schedule. Now going into this Texas A&M game, one of the games that you didn't think was going to be an important game on their schedule before the year actually is. And Florida essentially gets the bye week to prepare for it. They played on the Saturday before. So it was one of those things that I thought the Gators had one of the easiest schedules in the SEC. And then even the way that things ended up breaking, they even got a huge break when they needed to play Texas A&M, and it looked like they were incredibly prepared to guard Texas A&M with that bye week. And Texas A&M on the kind of regular prep was not ready for it. And you saw that Texas A&M, a team that is all about playing in transition and asserting their will that way. It's kind of known as Bucky ball for Bucky McMillan, their head coach, who was doing it at Samford and now brought it to Texas A&M. It just didn't look that way. Anyone watching the game was like, this is the team that's running up and down scoring transition. It just wasn't the case because Florida took them out of transition. And I think that that's kind of the way that this game should be framed, is not just like, wow, look at the defense, look at like the biggest thing was Florida's ability to play this game at the pace that they wanted and make it the style they wanted. And I think in college basketball, where there are so many different styles of play, I think that that's kind of the biggest battle in any game, especially between one that's two teams at the top of the league, is who's going to set the terms of engagement, who's going to say this is the way that the game is going to be played, and the team that better executes that style is going to be victorious. Well, that was Florida, and when Florida completely took Texas A&M, a team that is all about playing fast, completely out of that and turned it into a half-court game. Well, Texas A&M suddenly is not the best team in the SEC. They're like the 11th best half-court team, and even with that being the case, Florida made them look even worse than that. But it really was a fascinating game for that purpose. And I think coming off the showing against Alabama, where the Gators also was able to take a team that plays really fast and make it a slower half-court game, like Florida's just ability to say like, hey, whatever your style is, that doesn't matter. We are setting the terms here. This is how the game's going to be played. And if you can beat us at that, great. But we're already a couple steps ahead now that we've made the game our style. And we saw that against Alabama. And now we saw it against Texas A&M.
Just give Eric the ball and let him go ISO, man.
There's something about Alabama, like they just enjoy giving up 100. They just hope they can score 101. But I want to ask you about like Florida playing hot, then lose at home to Auburn. Obviously, Stephen Pearl, Todd Golden, very good friends. Big win for Pearl. His first probably signature win at Florida. What have you seen in the next three games? Because it almost seems like Florida was like shocked in that loss to Auburn at home and then have just taken it out on their last three opponents.
Yeah, I think you see that whenever a team wins a championship or makes a late run. And I mean, like, let's be honest here. We know how basketball is in Gainesville. We know what it is in the SEC. We know what it is in America. Like it's not like football where every single regular season game has juice. So I think we're a sport that is very March dependent. And I think when you win a championship, or even teams that make a deep run, whatever the case would be, Florida, of course, is likely to be coming off a championship. I do think to an extent there is a little bit of like, let's just get to March. Like how Florida's season is going to be ultimately remembered. It's probably not going to really be, people won't remember if Florida was a first or second or third seed. Like, yeah, they'll remember the difference between a second seed and a 10 seed, but it doesn't really matter if they're a 2, 3, or 4 seed, which looks like that's what they probably are going to be. But the specifics don't really matter. Like how this season is kind of going to be remembered is, did you win the SEC regular season? Did you win the SEC tournament? How far did you go in March? And I think a little bit of that shows up sometimes in the dog days of the regular season, especially now that the SEC is down, that there's not as many marquee games. Sometimes you're just not going to come in 100% focused with 100% energy. And they did that against Auburn. That's something that, I think you just saw like an Auburn team that was extremely hungry. Auburn had not had the marquee win that they needed. Like they hadn't taken any bad losses, hadn't had any great wins. They really needed that win. Florida wasn't as important to them. And yeah, you saw Auburn really just jump them. And that's kind of the thing about that game as well. It wasn't like Auburn really like controlled the game for 40 minutes. Auburn just like blitzed the Gators off the top when they were playing a lot more focused basketball in Florida, got a big lead, and then the game just kind of hovered around, that 10-point cushion and whatever the final score was. It wasn't an ugly game that Florida was really bad for 40 minutes. They were bad for 10, and it's kind of hard to chase a game like that all the time. So I think then you've just seen Florida play a lot more kind of focused. And I think you also get done a little bit of again, like a favor in the schedule. You play South Carolina, the least talented team in the SEC, beat them by 1,000. Then you've got the Alabama game where there's plenty of spice. Nate Oates talking, Todd Golden talking. Bediako situation. And then you've got a Texas A&M game where it's like, hey, this is going to be a game that decides who's right now and at the top of the SEC, and also could very well be a tiebreak scenario because, again, Florida only plays them once. One of the things that is really good about the schedule. And now Florida's got the tiebreak. So I think that there is some like challenges sometimes for all teams to gain motivation when it's like, hey, just get to March, and then that's where the season's going to be defined. It's something that a lot of good college basketball programs face. I think we saw that, but that's also, for a team that took its lumps a little bit in the non-conference portion of the season. Like, yeah, you want to be playing your best at the end of the season, and yeah, there's still a good couple weeks here before Florida really wants to be peaking. But also, this is probably a good upswing to be on.
Last year we had a good rotation coming off that bench, and that was very key in the run that they made last year. It was just a different guy every time. How do you rank the bench this year versus last year's? How you think they compare?
Yeah, it's a kind of a different bench in that, like, this year you've got Urban Klobzar stepping up, and he's kind of more of your like prototypical six man. Like, he's that microwave guy, and I think that while last year he wasn't able to score enough that people didn't love him in that role because he wasn't making shots. Now everyone like loves Klobzar because it's one of those things that when a guy can just like come off the bench, pull up from anywhere and drill a three, like that's super fun. And I think that that's obviously even more important for this Florida team, that as much as they are playing really good, they have their warts. One of them being 3-point shooting. And for Klobzar to be someone who can come off the bench and knock down a three and seems to be just like steadily at around 35%, no matter if it's wide open, no matter if it's contested, he brings a little bit of consistency there. I think that that's really important. Does he have his defensive issues? Like, yes. But he is bringing valuable shooting. Isaiah Brown helping a little bit with some of the defense on the wing that Florida lacks a little bit as well. But of course, like, this team is just all about the front court. Like, it's relentless to go from Ruben Chignello, who's playing like one of the best centers in college basketball, one of the most improved players in college basketball, I think. Condon, of course, preseason All-American, maybe not quite playing to that standard, but still fantastic. Hauck can slide into that role. And then like bringing in Handlockton off the bench to just like be once again a difficult matchup guy who just comes in and his one job is to offensive rebound. It really is. It's kind of playing again on Florida's strengths a little bit more. And I think that's maybe, if you're looking for one of the deficiencies of this team, you'd love a true wing to maybe come off the bench. Florida doesn't really have a true wing. That's also one of the reasons I think that Auburn was a good matchup for them, where Auburn has those 6'7" playmakers, and Florida just didn't really have a guy to guard them. Thomas Hauck, like a little bit tall and like higher center of gravity, wasn't a great matchup. Putting some of the smaller guards on a Keyshawn Hall did not work. So Florida is missing that kind of wing piece. So I wouldn't say that depth is necessarily as big of a strength, while also, the bodies in the front court are still pretty relentless, but they've got a couple pieces there. I mean, CJ Ingram, they tried him early, doesn't have the trust, tried Alex Lloyd, didn't quite do it, doesn't have the trust. So it's a tight rotation, but I also think that's where you see some of Florida's kind of consistency. It's because they don't roll the dice too much. They have their group of 8. They don't go beyond that, and it's often more like 7. And because of that, there's not really lulls. And at the positions that you normally would worry about, like a foul trouble, well, that's the front court where they do have depth. So not as much of a concern there.
Eric, it's been no qualm on Twitter, or no surprise on Twitter that a lot of people are frustrated with some of the guard shooting, and it seems like some of it is getting maybe marginally better at times. 3-point shooting this year it's shooting under 30%. I think they're at 28% on the season. Is this a team with how strong their front court is? And obviously they've been, on a great run here. Is this a team that can go deep even if they can't figure out how to make the long ball?
Yeah, I do think the floor remains just so high because of the defense, because of the rebounding. And I know that maybe that seems a little bit wrong because they, have lost a game to like a TCU that they'd like to have back, like a game like Missouri like to have back. Like, with the defense is now operating at a much higher level than even back then. And of course the rebounding covers up a multitude of sins when it comes to shooting. But Yeah, I mean, eventually when you do play another really, really good team, that's going to be a problem because there are other teams that are good at rebounding. Maybe not good at rebounding as Florida, but still pretty good and can kind of keep the possession total similar because of it. There are teams that are as good as Florida defensively. So like there's teams that can match Florida there, but there's certainly a lot of teams that shoot the ball a lot better than the Gators. And I think that that's something that if you're looking for, where that has hurt the Gators, not just in terms of the ability to make shots, but create them. Florida won a close game with Florida State. Florida State ultimately has been quite bad, not a very good team. Then they did win a close game with, yeah, I know everyone's lamenting that. Then they did win a close game with Vanderbilt, which is huge. Outside of that, you look at all the close games that Florida has been in. Close game with Arizona, did not play well down the stretch whatsoever, lost. Close game with TCU, did not play well down the stretch at all, lost. Against Duke, really bad in the last few minutes, lost. Against UConn, really bad in the last few minutes, lost. Against Missouri, really bad in the last few minutes, lost. And that's something that when you don't have guys who can create and make tough shots, suddenly those final 2 minutes in a close game become very, very difficult. And that's where you miss a Walter Clayton to just like rise up and make something ridiculous. And when you've looked at it this year, when it's okay, we need someone to execute in a short clock against a defense that's playing max level effort and the officials are not wanting to make calls, are Xavier Lee and Boogie Flan capable of being those guys? Yeah, like I don't think so. And I think we've seen that a little bit already in these close games where when it has been time for those guys to make something happen, they have turned the ball over, have not been able to create a good shot, or have missed good shots. And yeah, guys can, find a way to you hope one of them catches magic a little bit, but we're starting to see a pretty big sample size here of these guys struggling. And I think that is one of your concerns. And it's pretty wild. I mean, I think if you would have told me, and I'm no football expert, but I think if you would have told me even 5 years ago, a team could have like a Sam Darnold and win a Super Bowl, I'd be like, there's no way you need to have an elite quarterback to win a Super Bowl. And, we saw last night that, Sam Darnold can win a Super Bowl. They're like all basketball convention is like, if you don't have elite guards, you cannot win a championship in college basketball. Florida's guards are not elite. We can argue what level exactly they are, but I don't think anyone's saying they're elite. And that will become a very interesting case study with how far Florida could go, because now they are back in the mix of being a title contender. People are looking at them that way. Their advanced metrics are looking that way. And they have Xavier Lee and Boogie Flan, which I think at least Boogie Flan's defense has been incredible. And that's something I always do like to point out on the podcast, point it on the Patreon all the time, because I do think that has been very underrated, is that Boogie Flan has been one of the best on-ball defenders in college basketball, but he's still shooting 18% and missing all of his wide open threes. And Xavier Lee, unfortunately, the film's been rough on both sides of the floor. It would be remarkable if this team were able to make a Final Four or win a championship with this backcourt. But like, hey, anything's possible. Sam Darnold just won a Super Bowl. That would have been outrageous to say,
Oh yeah.
What do you chalk up the backcourt, the bad backcourt play? You like to eval miss, or just not a system fit? Like what do you chalk it up to?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be the like I told you so guy at this point of the season, but hey, anyone who's a Patreon supporter can go back and pull their receipts. But I was never a fan of the Xavier Lee pickup. I just saw red flag after red flag after red flag all over the film, all over the body of work. There was some stuff analytically I personally didn't like, but Florida, who of course likes analytics, found the stuff they like too. But I do think that really nothing we've seen with Xavier Lee should be all that surprising. I do think he should be shooting a little bit higher from three, but at the same time, this has been his career, is taking really difficult shots in games that don't really matter because his teams didn't win a lot. And I could go into that for a while, but I mean, Princeton was one of the best teams in the country a couple of years ago when he was on the roster, but not playing as key of a role. Then they brought most of the guys back, but he became their point guard and they're one of the key players. And while he was putting up numbers last year, Princeton was having one of their worst seasons in recent history at Princeton. So I think that there was some issues there. And I think just kind of when you look at some of the film he put up, some of the numbers he put up, it was, hits a tough step back three to bring Princeton back within 10 of a team that they should be beating by 15. That was kind of the story last year. And again, the other thing with Lee is I've always thought his defense was really, really rough as well. So the problem with him, who doesn't finish at the rim, doesn't defend, is a willing passer at times, but most of it comes from like his isolation and waiting for defenders to come over. Like that guy's margin for error is really low. He had to hit 41% of his really difficult off the dribble threes for it to be a value add to this Gators team. And obviously that hasn't happened. And now it's not just like, oh, he's not making shots. It's like, well, he's also tilting the floor because people don't have to guard him at the rim and are just like waiting for him to try to pass out if he drives because they want to dare him to shoot. His defense has been really, really poor. Like, so that's one that's all about an eval to me. I did disagree with Florida's move there. But then I'll also say, I'm not just trying to say I was right on everything. I was a huge fan of the Boogie Flan pickup, and maybe that's why I'm defending his defense. You can call me biased. That's fair. But I do think like offensively, you see some like he's also the guy that you'll get the shots that Xavier Lee's missing. He takes really tough ones, and he just has shown he's not the elite guy that Florida thought he was going to be at making them. Like Boogie Flan's threes are just like naked, wide open threes that he is not. And it's you watch his threes; they're not spilling out. They're catching the outside of the iron and not even close. And I think that there's issues there. I think that he has some issues kind of leveraging the athleticism and the explosion he actually has to finish at the rim. And again, just kind of the vision hasn't been there. And I do think some of that too is just maybe you chalk up to a guy that really didn't play a lot last year because of his injury. And ultimately, like, this isn't someone who's played a ton of high level basketball. And when he was playing at first, it was for an Arkansas team that was a little dysfunctional, especially when he was on the floor. So maybe we should be looking at this a little bit more like this is a 5-star guy who's like a freshman and a half. And that's one thing that is maybe going to benefit the Gators greatly is this was a guy that was like, oh, maybe he's going to go, he coming out of high school, maybe it's going to be a one and done player. Then it was, oh, he comes to Florida and maybe he's going to be 2 and through and leave and go pro after his time at Florida. Like, I don't think there's any NBA market for this guy. I think Florida could get him back, and that could be the best point guard defender in the country. And then if you can get him to be more of an offensive weapon, like that could be huge, and that could be the huge strides he makes. But I do think with Lee, it's, I know that it might look like hindsight is 2020, but I was the guy in the offseason being like, hey, let's like hold our horses a little bit on this Xavier Lee guy who was being pretty inefficient for the worst Princeton team we've seen in a whole long time. But I was like, hey, this Boogie Flan guy is going to be legit. And he just does not, the offensive side of the game does not come easy to him on any kind of any spectrum, whether it's vision, whether it's finishing around the rim, whether it's hitting wide open threes. And it's also one of those things. I think he's been a little bit reluctant to change his shooting form. And it's one of those things that's like, I know that a lot of guys are reluctant to change their shooting form mid-season, but like, what, you're going to tell me you're going to like shoot worse than this if it doesn't work? Like at this point, I'd also like to see just you might as well roll the dice there. You might as well make some changes.
How different is this team if I'm sorry, Nick. How different is this team if Aberdeen's on it?
I don't think that he would have helped this team all that much.
No?
Like, he would have brought a little bit more size to the wing, but still, it's not like he's a true wing. He's can show can make shots at times, but he's still a not great shooter. He's not really it's someone who is a great initiator. And it's one of those things that I don't think Florida's staff gets enough credit for just walking away from that one. I fully, while I mentioned that I would wish Florida would have gotten a wing, don't think they should have gotten Xavier Lee. I think they could have a lot of those dollars much better. Was a fan of the Boogie Flan pickup, but the one thing that Florida does not get enough credit for is being willing to walk away from that deal. And I think that at the time it was a smart thing to do. And I think that that's held up as well. And I also think Kentucky who's at least playing a little bit better now. They did miscast him as someone who they wanted to have a bigger role. And he's, started shooting the ball a little bit better late. But I mean, ultimately he's also like a defensive minded shooting guard. And that's kind of the position that there is most of anything in college basketball. There is it's very difficult to get centers. It's very difficult to get size. It's very difficult to get point guards. As you've seen, which like Florida wasn't the only guy after Xavier Lee. A lot of people saw him as the top option, despite me not thinking he was, and he came expensively. Guys that are 6'4" shooting guards, that is the that is the thing there is the most of on the market. There is just absolutely no need to overpay for that guy. So I still think that, like, yeah, if you could just like, snap your fingers and add Aberdeen to the roster, like, yeah, absolutely. If you would say, okay, subtract Boogie Fland because you need those dollars available and add Aberdeen, I wouldn't make that trade myself, to be honest with you. So, yes, I'm not saying Florida did everything right in the offseason, that is for sure, but not overpaying for Aberdeen was a great move. And I think that not enough coaches get, or staffs get credit for walking away when in this transfer culture where it's all about like, well, who did you get? Because people like love the splash of like, of getting the name, getting the big name, getting the most highly recruited guy like a Xavier Lee. I think you've got to, hold strong with some of your evaluations and be like, yeah, if we think this guy's X dollars and he's going for much more, like just like any other pro franchise, like you've got to be able to walk away.
Yeah, I think talking about Herb, one, I think he would even tell you he was a defensive liability, certainly not on like an SEC defensive player, all defensive team list, but I think there's definitely more effort there. He's less of a liability than he was. But I go back to being in Durham and asking one of the staff after the game, I was like, hey, man, like Herb checked in with 8 minutes left and like Xavier Lee was just on the bench. And they said even at that early point, they're like, any leverage minutes, Urban Klauschar is getting it. And I pulled up, like, if you pull up the minutes, Urban's catching him. He's not, not a starter, but Urban's almost at 500 minutes this year. I think you're seeing that playing time kind of switch. And then the one with Boogie, talking with Neil, I was trying to get my jokes off. Eric ruined my jokes, texting him privately during the game. But talking to Neil about Boogie as well, he's like, this is a guy who might be all SEC defensive now. And that's not something I saw coming into the season. And I think one of the things he came back and wanted to get at Florida was getting stronger. And I think he is probably finishing at the rim better. Not great, but finishing at the rim better than I thought he would, when he first showed up to Florida. But, yeah, it's a totally different team and different makeup. Walter Clayton was the great equalizer last year. It didn't matter if you were down 12 with 4 minutes left. Oh, that's only 4 Walt shots and you were winning. But the question I had, I think, is, the general thought of March is if you're old or if you have great guard play, you go far in March. Does Florida's front court and how good defensively and how good rebounding they are take some of that away? Because you're talking about great guard play and it's like, oh, well, you can shoot yourself out of a hole. But I think the way Florida rebounds and plays defense, you're not really getting into holes. I think they're still the only major team that hasn't suffered a kill shot, hasn't had a team go on a 10-0 run. It seems like you're going to stay close in games for the most part, just because of how big you are and how well you rebound, and you're going to make teams, earn their shots and certainly earn their rebounds.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier that I thought that Florida has not played well in the final minutes of close games and have really kind of fumbled crunch time. But you might have noticed when I was doing that, I had to go pretty far back because Florida just doesn't play in close games. They beat really good Texas A&M and Texas A&M by a lot, beat Alabama by 23 or whatever. Did play close with Vanderbilt, but other than that, crushed Tennessee, crushed Georgia. They don't play in a lot of close games because it's also one of those things that's so suffocating for opponents. And also in the final minutes for teams that don't have, or not final minutes as in the last 2 minutes of a close game, but even in that last kind of under 12 in the second half, teams that have had to try to relentlessly box out Ruben Chinyelu and Alex Connon and Thomas, they get worn down. And that's something too, where Florida's played in some kind of closer games until about that 12 minute of the second half mark, where Florida just kind of that's where the tsunami comes, because teams they don't have the depth to, maybe not there's guys fouling out, but just guys are tired of trying to box out this front court. That's where Florida's offensive rebounds really pile up. And that's where they start to get those really backbreaking points where it is psychological warfare from Florida sometimes, where they'll have these wenger possessions because they're not really great with their first shot offense. Their half court offense has not been very good, and defenses are oh yeah, we're doing good. We're dug in. Florida hasn't gotten a paint touch. Shot goes up. It's contested. It's from one of these guards isn't making shots. Hits the back of the rim. They're awesome. We did our job. What a great possession. And then Howe comes flying in, grabs it, and lays it in softly. And just the 30 minutes or 30 seconds of hard work you've done just in a second is those are just way more backbreaking points than if Boogie Fland, curls off a screen and hits a mid-range jump shot. The psychology of those things matter, and that's where Florida starts to get worn down. And I think that when you are looking at March, I think you kind of just look at the script of the last two games. Where not that Florida's going to go run another team out of the gym, not that they're going to not allow it, have a team go 1 for 23 from the field or whatever the start was against Texas A&M. It's just one of those things that's like, okay, you're never going to get. You're not going to get in too much of a hole, which we've seen did happen against Auburn, but you just say that probably doesn't happen again. And just even as their offense kind of sputters, they don't ever go ice cold or give up a kill shot, like you mentioned, because they can always get on 1 out of 3 every 3 or 4 possessions, get that offensive rebound put back. And then you just hope that, the other team doesn't hit 40% of their threes, that they only hit 32. And even though Florida is only hitting 27, they have 12 more offensive rebounds, or they have 6 more steals because of the length around the floor, or because Boogie Fland just goes and takes other point guards lunch money whenever he wants to. There's still kind of some of those scripts. And I do think you see that, Houston was so different than Florida because Houston did make threes at a high percentage, but they didn't shoot many of them. But we've seen that Houston has always been just a regular force going deep in March because of their defense, because of their rebounding. Now, again, they have had some more creative guards who can make things happen at the end of shot clocks. But I think if you look at Houston being within 1 possession of winning a championship last year over the Gators, you think if you're Florida, okay, we can play a similar style and be right there, just like Houston was last year.
Mm-hmm. And then one more, it's been unbelievable to watch. I think what Ruben Chinyelu has turned into, I jokingly at the beginning of last year was like, oh, he's kind of like Florida's Dennis Rodman. He's going to pull down some rebounds. He's going to be your enforcer. And now I think he already has more rebounds than Joakim Noah's best season ever at Florida. And we've got 7 games left in the regular season. What has he done from transferring from Washington State and just watching him over these years to turn into potentially the national defensive player of the year?
Yeah, there's been 3 things I would say with Chinyelu. And I think there's the kind of issues he had last year and the things that he's gotten way better at was 1, just general basketball IQ, seeing the game on both sides of the floor, because he just hasn't played a lot of basketball in his life. 2, it was touch around the rim, because he could go get the ball around there, but he would miss shots around it. And then 3, it was mobility on the defensive side, because he just, again, had pretty heavy feet, and teams would actually attack him on the perimeter, attack him in pick and roll. Now you fast forward to this year, he's got, with a full year at Florida already, and now the game is just really slowed down for him. Yes, there's times he's going to have some foolish turnovers if, he starts dribbling the ball a little bit too much, or maybe he's not going to read an offensive action the right way, but he's made huge strides in that area. So again, the game is slowed down for him a little bit more. Then you look offensively at just the touch, the fact that I kind of joked last year where I kind of think about the Kevin Durant Oklahoma City Thunder teams where they had Kendrick Perkins, and at the start of every game they would just give him one isolation on the block, and he would go and take a sweeping hook shot, and it would never fall, but it was their one thing of okay, we're going to give you one of those, big fella, because we know you're going to put in a whole bunch of work the other way, so you got to feed the big dogs that'll guard the house. And Florida was kind of doing that last year, and those shots weren't falling. And now he's hitting 55% of his hook shots. And whether it's a mismatch he takes advantage of, or whether it's, even someone of like size, he just can get to, 6 or 7 feet. He goes to that right-hand hook, even though defenses know it's coming. It's very difficult to stop. And he's starting to hit that, which is just enough to keep defenses honest. And then the biggest piece, like you said, the thing that has taken him from liability to massive strength is that lateral quickness, is that mobility. I think Victor Lopez, the strength and conditioning coach, I think that's where he deserves all kinds of credit, because, even Florida, and Florida's not the only one, but I did talk about, a past strength and conditioning coach that Florida had, and many programs are the same, that are hey, you bulk guys up, you get them, more muscle, you get them, looking bigger in photos, you get them looking more intimidating, but then you lose all of your mobility, all of your quickness. And for Chinyelu, it hasn't just been okay, let's get this guy even stronger and make sure he can lift a car. It's been we need him to be functionally athletic. We need him to be able to slide side to side laterally. And to see the clips of last year where it looked like his feet were in cement sometimes, and he was carrying looked like he was wearing ankle weights, now the fact that you can see some of the possessions, like one that kind of everyone saw on Twitter against Alabama, where he was just going guard to guard, switching onto whoever one of these 6'2" electric guys and keeping his feet in front, like just his lateral quickness. I mean, like, man, if basketball doesn't ever work out for him, though, he's going to have a long career as a pro, even if it's not in the NBA, somewhere else, because you always see players like that. I feel like him on the offensive line would look pretty good somewhere if he chose to go take up a new sport. But I do think it's not like, because I think too, when you look at a lot of these centers that are known as really good defensive players, most of them are shot blockers. Most of them are like, wow, those like 6'11" guys who can like if you were to look at Chinyelu and you'd like never watch him play before, and you're like, this is one of the best defensive players in the country, you're like, oh, I bet he blocks 3 shots a game. Like, look at that length, look at that, like, look at the body. I bet he's just like an eraser at the rim. Like, he's really not. Like, he's been a good rim protector, but for him, it's all about that mobility that makes him so good in pick and rolls, so good if he does get switched on to guards. And now Florida's just willing to let him do that. And I think that the strides from last year to this year have just really been massive.
Any final questions for our guy Eric before he heads out? Eric, we always appreciate you coming on.
No, man, I like your shoe rack back there, my guy. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's all I like.
Them Nikes.
Just a couple of many, but yeah, I had to get the backdrop here figured out. I mean, it's been through a lot of iterations through the years I've been at your much like your guys' backdrops have
for sure.
changed a whole bunch. But had to have a few displayed.
How cold is it up there in Edmonton?
Probably like 37 or 38 degrees, which here feels great. Yeah, I mean, I was actually just in Korea, and it was like 15 degrees or like 10 degrees. It was colder in Korea than back home in Edmonton. So it's actually
you watch some kid drill 14 threes in a game. First off, you're a total sicko on vacation across the world and just finds a basketball game to go to. Pro, semi-pro.
Yeah. Hey, this is all pro. I'm not too much of
okay.
This is this is the Korean, which is not the best league for sure. But it's always interesting to me. And I mean, one thing that's obviously great about some of these cities, like last year I was in Japan when I saw a bunch of games. This year was in Seoul. Like, I mean, you still like. People are like, oh, like I think we watched 5 games in like 10 days, and people are like, oh, Zal, you did watch basketball? And you're like, no, it's like the games are at 7. Like, go do your vacation stuff, go to dinner, and show up at 6:30. And again, it's also like it's not like a football stadium out in the suburbs in America. It's like these are like arenas in like downtown of the city. So was able to do a lot of great things in Korea, and then also watch a bunch of great games. And yeah, like you said, I got to witness this insane showing from this one guy who hit 14 3-pointers. So that's also why I think it's just great to go to like random games. You just never know, and you're going to see something crazy. Like none of these guys that are, this league is not on par with a lot of the top ones in Europe or even the Japanese league, but like you still might see something crazy, like a guy hitting 14 threes. So it was super fun to be there for that one.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Well, Eric, we appreciate you from Florida Basketball Hour. Let everybody know where they can follow you and listen to your guys' stuff.
Yeah, Florida Basketball Hour, like you mentioned, that's where we've got the podcast. We'll be recording here shortly, and also on YouTube if you prefer taking in your podcast that way. And then we also have the Patreon where I mostly do film breakdowns, and Neil will give his post-game thoughts often live from the arena, stuff like that. And for me, it's some of the stuff we're talking about, such as Ruben Chinelo's defense. Talking about is great. Sometimes it's great to watch the film too. So that's where I mostly do film breakdowns and hopefully the stuff that you just can't find anywhere else. And also just the only place where a medium like that is kind of works, where you can watch film and it won't get copyright struck or anything like that, and can go through that type of thing. So that's where you can find me. So yeah, guys, thank you for having me on for don't even know what number of appearance this is after the
we got to be in the double digits.
I would think
whenever
so.
we come up with a Hall of Fame, you will be first ballot.
Yeah,
for sure.
Wow. Well, we'll see if the listeners, feel the same. But hey, hopefully, at least you guys do.
We got to update your shirt too, my guy.
Yeah,
bro, shout out to Ahmad.
It also only gets more vintage with every
right.
passing year.
Yeah, you got.
In some ways, it's actually only getting cooler. But
that's
hey,
facts. That's facts, bro.
I love it, Eric. We appreciate you, brother, and we will talk with you soon, my friend. Thanks so much.
Hey, take care, guys.
All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Hey.
What's up?
Appreciate y'all boys, man. Sorry I came on a little late.
Come on now. No. I saw dinner on IG. Tell us about dinner.
Little Ruth Chris. That's my favorite spot between that and Eddie V's. That and Eddie V's is my two go-tos as far as like a steakhouse vibe. And the veal ravioli got me in the head a lot, man. That's the appetizer there. Top tier. It's nice. So that's what I really went there for, and had a little sit down, had a little nice time. Me and wifey, it was definitely a blast.
Just you and the wife?
Yes, and then we picked up the kids and went to Chipotle. Like that was my kids. They love that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I like it.
Talk about balance. Balance. My guy's got veal ravioli into E. coli at Chipotle.
Man. They're gonna be in there. Kids don't appreciate.
Cannot take my kids to no Ruth Chris, bro. It's too peaceful in there. I ain't trying to mess up everybody else's night.
Trying to ruin everyone's night.
What year you in, bro?
The big 3-0. I'm trying to run away from it.
Okay, ain't nothing wrong with it. You ain't even in your prime yet, bro. Trust me.
No, man. I'm trying to feel like that. It don't feel like that right now.
You ain't even in your prime yet, bro. Trust me.
30. You're in your Steph Curry year. You're in your Ken Griffey Jr.
30,
Eddie Reds year.
Yeah.
30.
That's what's up, man. Man, it's like I was just watching y'all boys. You flip on ESPN. At the opening, all that, bro. Like y'all making me feel old. 30,
man.
I was just, you and Bruce and all y'all boys. I was following y'all recruiting. That was the heyday in the beginning of this whole Twitter thing.
For real, bro. That's crazy.
Happy birthday, Jordan, we are glad to have you, brother. Happy birthday, Tez Henry. Through a super chat. Wish you
appreciate you, Tez.
All right, let's get a couple quick ad reads. The ice in the cup got me thinking about our friends over at Game Time Sidekicks. Go visit GameTimeSidekicks.com. There's cool stuff like that. Go visit GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code Stadium15 at checkout. We'll get you 15% off of your order. Keep your hot drinks hot, your cold drinks cold. Go visit GameTimeSidekicks.com. Promo code Stadium15, and also go visit our friends over at Game Time, or at over at Home Field Apparel. Go visit homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale at checkout. 6 pages of Florida Gators vintage logos on the softest cotton that you can find. Go visit homefieldapparel.com and use promo code Stadium and Gale. If you've used it already per your one email address, there's other ways to create email addresses. So if you say, hey, you know what? I'd like to buy myself a mid-February shirt. Or maybe your spouse is looking for something for Valentine's Day. I can't promise you, and I'm almost assured that it won't be delivered before Valentine's Day, but you can just blame the post office and say, hey, it got lost, and it's here. So go visit homefieldapparel.com. Men and women's wear, Stadium and Gale at checkout. Nick, baseball starts, and you went away. Very cool.
You think I'm out.
Baseball starts in a few days.
Yep.
The folks have been clamoring for baseball. However, if you could give us a 3-minute, talk to us a little bit about baseball, what we have looking forward to. Kevin O'Sullivan says he's recharged. He's excited to be back. You made some changes in the coaching staff this season. Gators looking to bounce back from, I would say, probably disappointing is not the right word. Just didn't meet the expectations maybe that they had for themselves. I know pitching struggled throughout the year. But, Nick, what can Gator fans expect on the diamond this year?
Yeah, the offseason was wild. In a week you lost. Kevin O'Sullivan stepped away to deal with some personal stuff. Jaden Bastian, who is one of the most sought-after outfield outfield prospects in the transfer portal, has a compound fracture. Talked to some of the guys on the team, some of the coaches. It was one of the most sobering things they've ever seen. Compound fracture is when the bone breaks the skin, just like a freak accident. And then Chuck Girolman leaves. That all was in the same week. So cluster of an off season in the fall. But the team looks really good. Your weekend rotation is going to be Liam Peterson, who's a potential first, second, third round pick, preseason All-American. Aiden King, who might be even better than Peterson certainly one of the best pitching prospects for next year. He's only a sophomore. He'll pitch on Saturdays. And then Cooper Walls, who's a transfer from Hawaii, big, tall, right-handed pitcher, will be on Sundays. You get Josh Rittenauer, who is a freshman, was throwing 97 before he had Tommy John surgery. You get Luke McNeely back. Jackson Barbary's back. The pitching depth is really, really good. You get Kyle Jones and Cade Curlin back. Both of them were lost for the year last year in the Miami series. So third weekend of the year, they both suffered injuries and were gone for the year. Brendan Lawson, one of the best 2027 bats in the country. Shout out to Eric. He is a fellow Canadian. And then another big bat you added in the portal in Ethan Serwick. So Florida's going to be able to hit the ball. I don't know that they're going to be like those Jack Caglione, Wyatt Langford teams that are super home run dependent. I think they can run with a guy like Kyle Jones. Cade Curlin can run a little bit as well. So the team, I think, is going to be really good. I can run through like a projected lineup. Where he gave you the bullpen or the starting rotation. But I think Carson Bowen, I just put out a video with him today. I thought that was super cool. He ran me through all of his catching stuff that he does on a daily basis. So check that out if you want to learn what it takes to be a D1 catcher. Carson Bowen is a TCU transfer. Ethan Serwick and Brendan Lawson, I think, will split first and third. Those guys will be on the corners either way. Cade Curlin at second. Sam Miller, who is a transfer from Columbia, I think will be your starting shortstop. And then you go with Yost Jones, Blake Sear in left center and right field. So they've got a bunch of veterans coming back, and I think a nice mix of young guys too. And should be a good team. It's been strange the past 2 years because Florida's really struggled in the regular season. And then 2 years ago, of course, made a great run after really struggling. And then last year, you end pretty unceremoniously in the Conway Regional. But every year, it's just the program that Kevin O'Sullivan has built. Every year is Omaha. That's the goal. And anytime you fall short of it, it feels like a failure. I still always say there's 300 teams in Division I baseball, more than 300 teams, and only 8 of them get to go to Omaha. So it's really hard to get there. But that's the goal of every Gator team. And I think if everyone stays healthy, knock on wood, and you get some of the jumps that you expect from from sophomores to juniors and freshmen to sophomores, it's a team that should host a regional, could host a super. But it isn't really. That's just
about you last year, Nick. That's why I wanted.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I died last year.
Maybe a time limit to avoid foot and mouse.
He said, "Well, I died last year."
I literally was so wrong in my preseason predictions. I had to fake my own death and run away. Hey,
running away after say something that's wrong isn't the worst thing in the world,
Yeah, sometimes I didn't go to Europe. I just went to UF Health. Europe sounds better than pneumonia and sepsis. But it's like if like Liam Peterson is a guy who's going to be a top 5 round draft pick, and that's who you have on Friday nights. Aiden King is a first rounder next year. Like it's hard to think you're going to have a hard time beating Florida on a weekend if you get what you should from those two guys. And then you've got to. Who's
the biggest bat this year?
Brendan Lawson is he's unique. Yeah, he's unique because he's going to, I believe, hit for high average. Just a kid who last year at 18 years old, they threw in the middle of the lineup. A kid from Toronto, Canada, playing SEC baseball at 18, and you're just throwing him in against guys who are going to be in the major leagues in the next 2 years. And he hit nearly 300. I think this is a kid who's going to hit 330, hitting third in the lineup, and could hit double-digit home runs. Serwick, who is a
Tony Gwynn.
I mean, he's really good. Yeah.
But
Tony Gwynn's probably the best pure hitter of my lifetime. But yeah, Ethan Serwick's another guy who I think double-digit home runs, huge bat. Transfer from Ole Miss. And then if Cade Kurland's healthy, we haven't seen a healthy Cade Kurland since his sophomore year. He was trying to hit with a broken hand as a junior. And then last year hurt his shoulder and they shut him down. So like we haven't seen Cade Kurland healthy, but he's a guy who can hit for a solid average and get close to double-digit home runs. Like it's just a really talented lineup, top to bottom, if you stay healthy. Florida last year, their starting roster, the opening day roster, by the time they got to the end of the season, was without their catcher, shortstop, second baseman, and center fielder. Just straight up the middle of the field, were out without their starters because of injuries. So you just have to stay healthy. Getting to Omaha takes a lot of luck, and Florida didn't have any last year.
All right. Well, the Gators kick off this weekend. We're going to try to make it up to a game at some point. We'll figure that out.
Well, we've got the Miami series in last weekend of February in Miami. Yeah.
That's an easy pull-up. You're muted. Scar.
No,
I said, let's do it. I'm down. That sounds easy enough for me.
Right? That's down the road.
End of February.
They open up, So they open up this weekend at home, Friday, Saturday, Sunday versus UAB. I'm scrolling down at Miami, February 27th, 28th, and March 1st.
Okay.
Let's do it. I'm with it.
We'll figure it out.
Just drive the boat down here, right?
It'll be a
long boat ride.
Long boat ride.
Long boat ride.
It'll be a long boat ride.
You could make 3 or 4 sourdoughs on that boat ride.
That's a long trip, man. That would be so long.
For sure.
It's funny.
And rough this time of the year.
Yeah, I'll probably I make it, Jordan. I'd probably just drive. You know what I mean?
I was just
a little bit easier.
To each their own, Jordan. To each their own.
I mean, while you're here, we can take the boat out. Like, why not, man? I went to shenanigans. Like, why my browser's just lost connection? What's going on?
Let's talk a little bit. Nick, I know you've probably followed this a little bit closer. We've had a number of coaches speak to the press over the last couple of weeks. Buster Faulkner spoke, as well as Brad White. Just some pretty, basic stuff there. Mentioned that the QB competition is real. Tramel Jones and Aaron Philo will get the chance to start. They're going to they talked about Jaden Baugh and his recruitment back to not recruitment back, but just trying to keep him. Talked about leaving a legacy in a place that he could always call home. Mentioned just like most coaches that are probably his age, that he grew up loving Steve Spurrier, that he was an out-of-the-box thinker. He was always adjusting, and that they're going to try to adapt to the guys that they have on the roster and not just live in one specific scheme. The foundation will be, and this is coach speak, right? Pushing the field vertically, horizontally, over the middle in every way that they can. So ultimately, you get your first chance to speak to Buster Faulkner. Any thoughts? Did you guys get the chance to listen to that? Or
seen the quotes from it, didn't get to listen.
Yeah,
I sat down with him too. Just like I did like get to know coaches stuff, and I think he said in one of them he was like, I don't even talk about myself this much during like family game night, but when we were talking football, just rattling off, excited. It'll be interesting because like you're gonna have a quarterback competition, and the biggest thing for me will be, I mean, there are 50 new guys, but you haven't had 2 years or a year. How do you to like bring everyone that you want into your system? So how do you adjust instead of saying, well, this is what I do. I don't care what the roster looks like. We're going to make it work with what I want to do. I think the biggest thing for coaches is, okay, especially in your first year, what do I have? What do we have? What do these guys do well? How can I adjust to what I want to do? I don't know that we ever adjusted with like the last coaching staff of like, hey, what do our guys do well, and how do we accentuate that? It was kind of like, no, we're running 12 personnel and we're going to do this, and just run it. So I think that'll be the best for all the first-year coaches, Brad White on defense included.
If there is a true quarterback competition, we're just going to take it at his word, right? Like we can debate till we're blue in the face, right? But if there is, do you think that maybe just with the return of your top 3 wide receivers, and then you add Eric Singleton in there, but your top 3 wide receivers, a lot of them had passes thrown to them by Tramel Jones all of last year. Now, when you're trying to adapt and, get that who can make the first impact in front of these coaches, I mean, do you think that potentially gives them a leg up, or are you not buying that there's maybe not a real quarterback competition?
I think there's a real quarterback competition. But they brought Philo, Buster Faulkner brought Philo in, and he just watched Philo for 2 years. The offense that they ran for Haynes King, nothing against Haynes King. I think he was a very fun player to watch. I don't think I'll be watching him on Sundays. I think you have a totally different skill set in both Tramel and Aaron Philo than you did with Haynes King. So I don't know that, even going back and watching Georgia Tech and watching when Haynes King's quarterback, I don't even know we're going to learn a lot about what Florida's offense is going to look like. You have a leg up in the sense of, hey, Aaron Philo knows what the playbook is and has run it and knows how Buster likes to operate on offense and what to expect. And it will be new for Tramel. But Tramel does have that familiarity, like you said, with, Dallas Wilson, VB3. I guess no one does with Singleton, but with those guys. I mean, that receiver room outside of those two, ton of turnover in the receiver room as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tramel Jones gets the upper hand in that situation just because of, the chemistry between some of the guys who kind of played last year. We know Dallas Wilson was in and out, not because of being benched, but obviously due to injury. But just even when he first came, I'm sure he got a lot more reps with Tramel Jones than he did with Lagway, if not about the same. Mm-hmm. So the chemistry is there between him and all the other receivers that's been there. I think that's going to play a huge role. Obviously, I'm not in the building. I'm just going off of what I think we kind of got Aaron Philo just to be more of the general of the room and just to kind of make it feel more calm. The new system isn't kind of making these guys feel overwhelmed and it doesn't seem impossible, right? Mm-hmm. You can hear from a player's perspective of somebody who can really show you and as well understand it, and they can kind of break it down to you in a player way if the coach isn't able to get through to the players. So I think the competition will be open, and I think I'm just guessing it'll be Tramel in my eyes just because I think he's a little bit more talented. I think he has a little bit of a higher ceiling than Aaron does. I don't know the kid. I'm just kind of prejudging him, but that's just from what I feel like.
No, I agree with you. I do think Tramel has a higher ceiling, right? Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that. Just from overall just talent, I think he has a stronger arm, better, more athleticism. I do think Tramel's a smart kid. The advantage I think Philo has is he's been in that offense for a couple of years. The terminology, you will almost have to slow down camp for Philo, right? And keep him at the same pace as Tramel as you install him. Because Philo knows everything. Now you will have to slow Philo down to the pace of everybody else. He's almost like a coach on the field. So I just think from knowing the offense and being in the offense a couple of years, that gives him the heads up. But if all things even, and I don't know if they're going to decide in spring who's that starting quarterback. Does it go into fall camp? I don't know if that's the situation. But if everything even, I like Tramel to win the job. I don't think Philo's a bad quarterback. I like his ball placement. I understand you don't need the strongest of arms to be good in college football. Warfel didn't have a big arm, but he played the game timing, ball placement, anticipation, etc. He had that was good stuff. And Philo has some of those traits as well. But everything even, I think Tramel will win, but I just don't think everything's even.
Mm-hmm. Jordan, how much as a player who had several different offenses, how much can, and I know your position is different than quarterback, but how much can you do to get up to speed in the offseason without being in pads, whether it's just watching film, how much can you do, how much can Tramel do to kind of close that gap before you put helmets on in the spring?
I think he can close the gap. I think he can do it a lot, man. I think it all boils down to what type of person I think Aaron is, right? Mm-hmm. Look at this as, this is my job and this is a competition, and no, I'm not going to help you out. because you gonna take my job. Or, just be honest, guys.
That's real.
At all levels, there's some dudes who are willing to help a hand and be like, bro, I'll teach you the ways and show you the ropes. Because I mean, most dudes that do that, you feel like you're good enough to compete, so you don't really care if he knows it or not. It's the guys that knows that they're really not that good to where I gotta kind of snub from teaching you because you are capable of taking my job. So I think it all depends on Aaron's approach to this entire thing and how much he embraces them. Do I think Tramel's a smart enough kid to get it on his own eventually and still work hard and study? For sure. I think he can live in the upstairs office with the coaches until he gets the game plan down, and I think it'll be good for him. And I wanted to ask the question too as well. What do you guys feel like is the best decision as far as like making a decision? Would you want it to be after spring ball? Would you want it to trickle into the season? How do y'all feel about it?
I guess it would be like how competitive it is in spring camp. Like, is it close in the spring game? You know, how wide is the gap? If the gap is narrow, I think just from the spirit of just pure competition in the locker room, you got to keep it open in the fall camp if it's a slim margin, especially because he has a 2-year head start on the playbook.
For sure. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I kind of, no disrespect on spring ball, but I feel like spring ball is kind of BS. Got all the coaches in the same building, in the same room. Y'all scripting plays against each other every other day. Like, we know what the offense is running, defense knows what the offense, whatever. Like, everybody knows what's going on. We're very familiar with each other's system. We all have a staff meeting and then split to O&D. The head man knows what's going on both sides of the ball. Like, it's kind of hard to make a real decision and evaluation off of spring ball. I would love to go into the season knowing who my guy is, but realistically, I feel like it has to bubble over into fall camp, if not the first game of the season, first 2 games, just to test it out. Like, my honestly prediction is that Aaron will probably get the start. Hopefully he does well, and at the rate that he doesn't do well, by then Tramel's kind of caught up to speed. You know, probably saw him play 1 or 2 games. He can see how they break down film, how they like, you know, game plan for teams and how you're supposed to move and do stuff. And sometimes it's better to learn from someone else's mistakes versus yours. So I would honestly want it to be like, you know, a 1 to 2 game deal, and then Tramel can kind of take the stage and be Mr. Superhero.
That gives me big. They know we're running right zone, and I swear to God, the linebacker's waiting for me. He's getting the handoff. I'm sick of the defense knowing that we're trying to install our zone running scheme right now. But that's true. And then also you might get like, hey, if the offense is getting the better of you for 3 days, like, hey, we might just start scripting stuff so the defense will win today. Get those boys some juice. Get the offense to go down. Yeah, so, I mean, spring football, and especially with a new coaching staff, a ton of install. Like, it's all football, but everyone speaks different languages, and you're doing the same thing, but it's called something entirely different. So I'm interested to see it. I think I agree with Jordan. Like, I would rather have a quarterback named day 1 of spring. Like, when Kyle Trask came back for like the 2020 year, it's like, hey, there was no quarterback controversy. Kyle Trask is your quarterback this season, and you've got one guy for the spring, you got one guy for the fall. So it'll be interesting to see how long,
especially the new quarterback and so many new names and so much production, you know, being replaced, and not just at wide receiver, but at tight end. You know, obviously for Philo, most of these guys, except for the couple guys that came over from Georgia Tech, and Eric Singleton, who was at Georgia Tech before Auburn, they're all new names for both folks. So if it is a real QB competition, which I hope that it is, you know, you hope that you can get a starter early and get those guys working together, because they got a lot ahead of them. On the defensive side of the ball, again, Brad White is your new defensive coordinator. Mentioned that it took him about 30 seconds to accept the job at the University of Florida. He said it would have taken about 5 seconds, but he had to call his boss, which is just a funny line. Working to be maybe a little bit more aggressive from a coverage perspective. I don't know. I don't think he elaborated much on that. It might have to do with where DBs are lining up on the ball. Now, might be some blitz packages. But again, he said that the coverage piece is the thing that they're trying to figure out how to be most aggressive on. He said that we're going to be a 3-4 team, but it's way more 4 down than it is 3-4. The boundary jack will essentially be a defensive end. So that there are some questions about are the Gators going to have a 3-4, a 4-3, a 3-3-5. I mean, obviously it's going to depend on exactly what you're trying to do, but he did mention more of a 3-4 defense that they have. Any thoughts, Nick? I know you had the chance. Brad White, he's probably the name, a lot of Gator fans may not be as familiar with coming over from Kentucky.
Yeah, I think you should be familiar with him. And I've said it before, I think he didn't get the credit because Mark Stoops was a defensive coach, but Brad White was calling the plays. So, almost like a T-Rob Muschamp deal where it's like, hey, this guy should be getting a bunch of credit, but he's not going to because it's Champ. Intense guy. I think he and Summerall have very similar intensity to their personalities. And that saying, because he's really a 4-down front guy or was at Kentucky, but that might be a system of like, hey, they've been shopping for 34 for 3-4 for 4 years. I'm not going to try to make a 4-3 dinner with 3-4 ingredients. So We'll have to be multiple. Like I'm not going to commit to a 4-3 when I have Jaden Woods and LJ McCray. It's like, all right, well, hey guys, sorry. I need you to put your hand in the dirt and line up right in front of the tackle. It's like, no, head out there. You see the hash mark, get on the other side of it. Run around him, just go get the quarterback. So I think you might end up seeing if he's here for a while, seeing Florida go to a more 4-3, but the way offenses are changing, you're almost base nickel, everybody.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely could agree with that, man. I think you got to kind of work with what you got at this rate. You don't want to put these kids in a situation where they're not going to play their best and perform their best, right? You're running into a place that had a really good defense last year, and I think the biggest thing on his mind right now is that he doesn't want to come in and ruin that, right? I think for the offensive coordinator, he has a little easier job to where the expectations are real low at this point. Anything helps, points on the board we're fine with. But if we go out next year and the defense, no knock to my boy, I love Grantham, but if our defense looking like Grantham defense to where you're sending blitz every play where we getting torched 20, 30 points a game, like Gator fans aren't going to be happy with that, especially with how great our defense was playing last year. So I think he has definitely a big task on his hand as far as what he needs to get done. I think him having that approach and not being sold on, hey, I'm a 4-3 guy and this is what we're going to do, I think that's amazing. He's honestly going into it with an open mindset and that he's trying to put these kids in the best situation to, 1, make us win games, and 2, for these guys to go off and have great careers, right? Because I think oftentimes a lot of coaches, fans, everyone forgets that builds some credit, having some guys go on to the next level and play good at the next level because you instill something great in them, and that speaks volumes. That's something that you can do on a recruiting pitch to a 5-star guy, and you can show them that's how you can reel them in as well, because I was able to put guys in a position in the NFL to where they were already NFL ready before they reached there. I'll say that's one thing that Dan Mullen really did great. Obviously didn't get to experience Coach McElwain on my back end years before I got to go to the league, but Dan literally sat me down and was like, hey, man, you've never played special teams in your life, but special teams is important. Like, you're going to have to go and play some teams in the NFL. Like, I had no clue prior to that. And so the head man telling me something like that and kind of in practice every day. I never did special teams at Florida for, I think, my senior year just so he could put me on, like, the field. But other than that, it was literally never. He used to have me in practice all the time. I was on the first team practice, punt return, kick return. I'll do all of it. But I never was really on it in the game. He just wanted me to be familiar with it. He doesn't want it to be brand new with it. And I feel like that kind of stuff is what's going to build the culture and build us to get where we need to be as far as like the players and the future recruits trusting in the process and trusting that these coaches are going to get these guys NFL ready. And that correlates with winning ball games for sure.
Yeah, first thing, like when I hear coaches start, sometimes they tell you like, or they give you a perspective of how they see the depth chart and the talent as well. So he's been a little flexible with his thinking of the fronts. I think if he thought he had the type of guys, that he need to run his defense, he would be a little bit more, I think, traditional with what he does. But, of course, he's going to adjust to the talent on the roster. But sometimes I just try to listen for the flags a little bit. And I can just tell from the talk that, he don't really, think we're at where he want to be defense front wise for him to run what he want to run. Is what I would say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess we will see. Phil Trotwine spoke to the media as well today. Said that his goal is to win a national championship here, not just come back for nostalgia or a cool, quote unquote, homecoming story. Mentioned that Florida is where he learned how to become a man and wants to guide players through that same journey. He talked with that quote, led into the idea of not necessarily chasing stars, but a mindset around development and buying in. He called them no talent things. He said that Florida will not be always the highest bidder for somebody. So his opinion, and you never can be. I mean, I guess theoretically you could be, but you're probably in reality not going to be. But his pitch is always going to be development and trust. Talked a lot about TJ Shanahan from Penn State and Egan Boyer from Penn State as well, and also singled out Rod Kearney as somebody that loves football. So obviously, really, really cool to get Phil Trotwine back, a guy that a lot of Gator fans have been excited about for a long time. But just good to see him back. Looks like he's in great shape. And
yeah, that's what I was about to say. Phil looks great, man. Phil in the gym.
Yeah, he was. I think it was Zach put out a video. He's got tattoo on his left arm with like a Gator holding a crystal ball for 06 and another Gator holding a crystal ball for 08, looking to grab another one. I got a chance to sit down with him too, and he's like, hey, like offensive line's a developmental position. I think he kind of echoes what we say. It's like you can find like the Seton who goes and starts as a freshman, but that's outliers. Like you have to find guys and develop them. Just one O-line coach, but they got plenty of assistants there. But yeah, it's cool to see Phil back. It's cool to see Bam back, getting two guys back who were captains, a national champ, two-time national champion, getting those kind of guys back who just bleed orange and blue. When I was talking to Phil, I think he might have even said it there. He's like, I got into coaching to be in this chair. Yeah. Like I was a GA. I went to Boston College. I spent 6 years. He's like, all of that was to get back here.
Dan told me for years that Phil don't want to come back here, bro. Dan told me that on this show. You did, Dan.
No,
you
sir.
did tell me that on this show.
I said, what if he doesn't want to come back here? What if he loved being back?
You said he was from Philadelphia.
He's a Southern guy?
Yeah. I mean, I've been wrong about a lot of things, obviously. So wrong about that. Just chuck one up for the Lions.
Programming note: Dan is going to be in Belgium next Monday. He won't back in Europe for the week. But no, I think like the position is tough. They have a bunch of new guys. You're replacing a starting left tackle, starting right tackle, starting All-American center. You brought in a bunch of guys. It'll be interesting to see.
Right guard too, right?
Yeah, but like, no, Damian George, yeah, you're replacing 4 of the 5 starters, yeah. But you get like Rod Kearney back. He's played a bunch of football. You have some guys back who have played, but it'll be interesting. They brought in a lot of guys through the portal, guys who they were familiar with at Georgia Tech. The guy who played for Phil looks like he goes to like Slipknot concerts. Long black hair, just looks like an offensive lineman. Shanahan?
TJ Shanahan.
TJ Shanahan. Yeah, TJ Shanahan looks like he listens to metal music.
What the boys doing in the weight room? Like who?
I haven't even been. They work out super early now. Like I think workouts start.
Get
like
up,
5.
bro. Wake up and go out there.
I got a pregnant wife and an 18-month-old.
That sounds like you're not getting a lot of sleep,
intel, man.
I'm straight dad duty from 6 when she wakes up until
inside the heat don't sleep. You gotta get up, Nick.
I gotta set up cameras. And review the film. Because if I'm up at that time, it's because Frankie's up.
No doubt.
But yeah, like super dope to have Phil back. I'll be interested to see what the offensive line looks like. But yeah, also Phil says he doesn't chase stars, but history looks like Phil has grabbed some stars.
He's saying the right thing.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good to have Phil back. I'm glad I was wrong about him maybe wanting to stay in Pennsylvania. Maybe staying in Pennsylvania. All right, guys. I think that's it. Was there anything you took away from Bam Hardman today or Collins, Nick?
I don't know. Bam comes into a dope room, though. Bam comes into a great spot. You get to coach Jaden Woods. You've got LJ McCray out there. You've got some guys out there. I'm actually talking to him tomorrow. Who else have I talked to? I got to talk to Brandon Harris. Shout out to a South Florida legendary family.
Royalty. That's right, royalty.
Yeah, no, I gassed him up. He was interesting because I asked him about the room, and he's talked about like athleticism, this, and that. I put one of the clips out on Twitter today. He was like, if you can't play the ball, you can't play. And going back and looking at his secondaries at FAU and at UCF, like that's one thing both those teams did. I think UCF was like top 25 in terms of takeaways in the country. Yeah. The year he was there, like his guys just get their hands on the ball. That's something that Florida's defense needs to do better, hasn't done well enough the past couple of years. Weird. Not like Randy Shannon weird, seeing him in orange and blue, but I mean, I think Brandon Harris and I are the same age. Like we were in college at the same time. I remember watching him play for the Canes. But yeah, it was cool talking to him. Also cool talking, with I'm blanking on his name, the special teams coach. I don't believe Coach Matt was retained.
No, Coach Matt is gone. He said he was tired of hearing about the Matt. I was tired.
Yeah.
And you were justifying the Matt.
Coach Matt is
unemployed.
Coach Matt can only do one thing, and that's count to 12.
Matt had a buyout.
I think.
Shout out to Hardman, but he's coming into a heavily criticized room because Mike Pete called another former Gator, called a lot of heat for that room a little bit. So, I got my eye on that room. I got my faith in Hardman, but I think a lot of people got their eye on that room.
Mike P's still around. Mike P.
I've seen that.
Moved to like an off-field kind of role.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I was there. I was there a week ago Tuesday, and just like I turned a corner and Mike P was there. I'm like, "Oh, Coach, what's up?"
Is he in like personnel or is he recruiting? Like what?
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it's personnel, but I also think it's also like so like when Vernell Brown was there, he was also kind of like former player liaison relations. I also think Mike P is kind of in that role. Just somebody who's played here, was a legend here. And making sure other guys are welcome back, know how to come back, know where to go.
The front office roles might be the vibes. I ain't gonna lie. All that recruiting and traveling and
in the NFL, and coaching a while. You got some good checks. Living in Gainesville. I mean,
yeah. I mean, them roles
going through school and all that. Like,
but it's starting to structure this thing like an NFL, like franchise type. With the job titles and whatnot. So. If you could get you a good personnel job and not have to jump on the road, with a lot of traveling with some of these other positions, man, that might be great for like home life. And I
think that's one thing. So like Florida has that structure now. If you would have gotten Lane Kiffin, you would have gotten Billy Glasscock, and that Lane's bringing his GM, and the GM does what the coach says. And now Florida has more of an NFL system. I think some other teams across the country are also doing it, where like Dave Caldwell is like an NFL GM. He's going to be going out, and the coach has a say in like who the players are, but Dave Caldwell goes out. And then you've got, Ben Elsner and Nick Polk, who are the number crunchers. And then you get the coach who just gets to coach football. Like the kids aren't going to the head football coach being like, "Hey, I need more money." He's like, "Cool, that's down the hall."
you did get a good quote from Summerall. I think it was in Dave Waters' interview, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he did mention that his staff size is going to be smaller than what it was. He's like, you look around and you're like, what do all these people do? And I think despite the fact that we talked about it often, I think we also mentioned, you're like, why are there so many people on the staff and what do they do? And if at one point, like, is there too many voices? Does the signal get lost in the noise of having that many people if you're just trying to win a football game? And I think we even brought it up a couple months ago. It's like, why are we spending 100 hours a week coaching the game of football, and you have a staff of 100 people that all they're doing is watching film and trying to do all this other stuff? And it's just like, when did football become this strategic warfare to have a staff of 120 people that you had no idea what they did?
I think Saban started expanding them staffs. I think Saban was the start of a lot of that, right? He just started getting, he still has that. Then he has the rehab system of coaches that need some rehab, but like just stacking talented coaches and creating job titles. That was Saban's doing, and everybody just started copying it.
I guess if nobody stops you and just say, hey, what do you need? What is this person's job responsibility going to be? Yeah. And you're just like, oh, this guy was once a coach at Alabama Prairie. Could use the offensive coordinator, Prairie A&M.
Putting football smart guys in the room, man. Like,
I mean, I guess at some point in time, you just got to win football games. So, then John.
I'm not saying that's what Billy was doing. I'm saying that's what Nick was doing.
We know that. We know that. Something about Billy and the boys. Best of luck.
Quick Google search. I don't believe there is an Alabama Prairie College.
No. What is Prairie View A&M?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's where I was going.
That sounds like Division 4.
No, Prairie View is HBCU. My cousin went there.
I know.
Big CJ, bro.
Isn't that
Prairie View's where?
Isn't that where Jerry Rice went? No,
he went to Mississippi Valley State.
Who went to Prairie View? Somebody big.
My cousin.
Yeah, it was definitely your cousin, but beyond your cousin, I thought that was somebody else. Anyway.
Shout out to Big CJ, bro. Anywho.
All right. Well, somebody named that you might know, Mr. T went to Prairie View. A&M.
Mr. T.
The Panthers played football there. Shout out to Mr. T. We haven't given a chance to shout out Mr. T ever on this program, so.
Yeah, I think you're gonna lose some of the kids with the Mr. T.
Well, our audience does trend a little older. So, all right, guys, let's get out of here.
Wait. We had a roundup. Softball swept that South Florida opening weekend tournament invitational that they do. One complaint: South Florida Power 5, Power 4, Group of 5, whatever they are. Can we get a stream? Can we get a stream? Whole weekend's on radio except for the very last game of the tournament. What are we doing?
I'll shoot a note to Rob Higgins. Let him know.
Thank you.
You said it's a softball?
Softball season started last weekend.
They went, 5-0?
5-0, yep. Yeah,
there might not be, I don't know what the USF girls softball fandom looks like.
I'll be honest with you, Nick. I'm gonna go on Corey's side on this one.
Yeah, just like
you're probably the only person asking for it.
You have there's Florida softball. There's a large Florida softball fan.
For sure. They've also won national championships. You didn't even know what division or group USF was in softball. Do we call non-football sports still Group of 5 or Group of 8 or whatever? Power 4, Power 3, Power 2.
We're in the weeds now, man.
I don't know. I digress. You streamed one game, which means you have the capability. Stream the rest.
Well, it's expensive, Nick.
Yeah, they might not have
donation. Small little dono.
No, not donating USF. And
only rich people got nicknames for donations, man. Nick,
how about this? Next year, I'll go out there and I'll bring.
Dono. Oh my god!
I'll bring a tripod. I'll bring my phone, and I'll just stream it directly to you.
Dan Thompson Plus.
It isn't be expensive for you, Nick. It's gonna be expensive for you.
And the Gator Invitational. If you're in Gainesville, go out to Bostic. Best Gator Invitational golf lineup I've seen. Oklahoma State, who won the national championship last year. Auburn, who won it in 24. And then Florida, of course, won in 23. Saturday, I think first tee times at 7:30. Sunday, same thing. Sunday tournament. I'll be out there Saturday morning watching the Gator golf team. Shout out to JC Deacon,
friend of the program.
This is definitely not me trying to angle for free gear, but hey, if you want to, here I am.
If I wasn't going down to West Palm this weekend, that would have been a fun little activity to do. Best of luck. We are getting to that time of year where we'll do a kind of a weekly roundup of how all of the programs are doing. Gators play Georgia this week in basketball and Kentucky. They play Kentucky on Valentine's Day, Georgia on the 11th. So with that, let's give one time. Jordan, it's your birthday, brother, so start thinking of your song of the week. One time for our friends over at Alumni Hall, go visit alumnihall.com or go visit them in Gainesville on Archer Road, largest selection of Florida Gator apparel in all of Gainesville and maybe even online. So go check out alumnihall.com or go visit them in Gainesville on Archer Road. Jordan, again, happy birthday, brother. Welcome to the 30s. We welcome you with open arms.
I appreciate
open arms and creaky knees. We welcome you to your 30s.
Y'all don't even want to know how these knees felt during this cold little spell we had down here. I was trying to inside, shoulders hurting, knees hurting, shit, the ankle even hurt if you step hard enough. So I'm just trying to stay out the cold so I cannot feel.
You're about to turn into a meteorologist in about 3 years. You're gonna know it's about to get cold.
Rain in 10 minutes.
Right. No, for real.
Well, I think for my song of the week, I'm going with one of my favorite artists that I like to listen to, Little Uzi Vert. What You Saying? I've been on that song crazy. It's been going viral, and Uzi's back, you know.
Uzi's back?
For the 30-year-olds that been bumping Uzi 5-7 years ago, we're still here and we're still kicking. If Uzi's still going, I'm still going, baby. Let's do it.
Shout out to Lil Uzi Vert. What you saying?
Yep, What You Saying.
Who sings the other What You Saying song? Ooh, what you saying?
Oh, you're right. That's a banger too. I don't know.
Bro, Bender Dan would have known that.
Jason Derulo. Shout out to Jason
Derulo.
Yeah. Always had to introduce himself.
Off the hookah, you hated to see me coming, man. When the Jason Derulo day. Off the hookah, hated to see me coming, bro. I promise you.
Oh man, well, we appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube or on X, hit the like button, subscribe button, or hit the retweet button. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you at the same corner, same time next week.